Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now dubbed by Disney, or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. Today I have for you the final novel in the post Episode 1 but before Episode 2 era, which is The Approaching Storm by Alan Dean Foster. Now, I won't get too much into it because it's not relevant to this book, but I will say, just because I think it's significant knowledge for those who don't know, Alan Dean Foster is the grandfather of the expanded universe. He wrote the very first novel in the Star Wars expanded universe, being Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Now, in 1,000 years from now, when I get to Splinter of the Mind's Eye, I'll get into more detail about that, but I just thought I'd mention that. But this is his prequel novel that he got to write. I know that him and George are kind of good friends, so that's probably why he was allowed to write the prequel to episode 2. Now, I don't really have many spoilers for you, so you don't have to worry about that much. Um, the main plot, it starts off really, really strong, I think. It begins with there being this trouble on this planet, and the politics is so ingrained into the Jedi. And I don't know if this is really the point of the book necessarily, but you know, and then this has been iterated in other things, but the Jedi are they're the will of they're supposed to be the will of the council, but they seem to be the will of politics. But they have to go to they have to so Luminara and Barriss are kind of the main characters of this book. Like Anakin and Obi-Wan are in it, but they're not the center focus. And so Luminara and Barriss are there originally. We start off with them. Anakin and Obi-Wan show up later, but essentially they have to go to this planet to convince these people not to leave the Republic. Because a lot of people are kind of starting to do that because of the separatist movement growing, because episode 2 got to get ready for the Clone Wars. And so that their only mission here is to stop that from happening, to make sure one little planet does not succeed, because even though it may be in relative terms an insignificant planet, if they lose that planet, other planets will start to want to leave or whatever. And so that's the plot. I will say this is kind of like Jedi Quest and Jedi Apprentice, where I feel the main story of the book taking place on the central planet with the characters on the planet and everything. I didn't really feel it, like I don't know, like I just didn't get into any of the characters from this planet. The villains too, which are more kind of in the background, they're fine. I didn't particularly love any of them. I didn't think they really were particularly memorable. Luminar and Barriss, though, as characters wise, were excellent, and I'm really excited now to read MedStar because it will have Barriss in it. And I think this book does a wonderful job with those two characters, and I think it absolutely helps develop them as people. And it's really cool. I saw somewhere that the people who played Luminar and Barriss in the movies actually read this book and were like, "Oh, I actually understand what my character is now," because they're just a background character in the movies. There are also some um, amazing interactions between all the characters, whether that be, um, Luminara with Obi-Wan, Luminara, Anakin, Barriss, Anakin, Barriss, Obi-Wan. Probably less with Barriss, Obi-Wan, but still, there's a lot of cool interactions between all of them. But especially Barriss and Anakin had some really cool conversations within this book. And there's one scene involving like talents to prove that they all have souls or whatever. That scene was really good too. I don't like to be negative in my reviews. I love the expanded universe, even stuff I hate, like Allegiance and Choices of One, which are, as of now, they're still my least favorite Star Wars books. Um, I have to put that into that category though. This book with Allegiance and Choices of One. Now, for other people, don't be like, well, that doesn't sound that bad, because I like Legions of Choices of One. I will say for Legions of Choices of One, I felt like overall the story there had more going for it. Um, it just dragged on a lot of places and annoyed me with Zanza. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. Well, are Luke and Mara gonna meet? Oh my gosh! As if I didn't write that they don't meet till later. But with this book, it's just there are some really great moments sprinkled throughout this book. I felt, but the big chunk of this book, I kept checking the time. I was so bored, and I tried not to be like I really try to get into it. I don't try to be like some of my other um friends of the expanding universe, whether it be Matt Wilkins, though he's a fun guy. I love him. Quality Autism, we should definitely subscribe to. A couple other people where they can be very negative. Like I want to bask in the enjoyment of the Star Wars expanded universe, this vast and expansive universe. But I have to be honest when I have to be honest, and for me, I just found this book rather boring. There are, again, as I said, there are moments sprinkled throughout that had me completely engaged, that I just fully enjoyed, but there's so much in there that is just a snooze. It's just a snooze, and I could not get into it. Maybe you'll appreciate it more, and that's okay if you do. I would love to know. I would love to know if you really like this book, your reasons why in the comment section. I would love to know why. That's not being sarcastic or anything. I would love to know your opinion. To have a different opinion on it. Maybe get a new perspective on it that I didn't see previously. But yeah, it's fine. I'm not saying this book is bad by any means. It's fine. Um, it's an okay prequel to episode 2. It does set up some things, but overall, it doesn't do much. I feel like because they're not allowed to do much in this book. I feel like Alan Dean Foster is told you can't do much because episode 2 for Anakin is where most of the character development is going to come. So you can only do so much with Anakin. Again, best parts of this book being Luminara and Barriss, which was, they're wonderful in here. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all I have to say for this book. I'm going to get into my very short part of spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, now's your time to go. As I said, overall, book is okay. Not my favorite by any means. No. If you don't want spoilers, time to go. If you're a veteran or you just don't care about spoilers, stick around. Okay? Going into it. I warned you. There's a part in the book where Barriss heals her captors. She gets kidnapped, which was a little stupid, but whatever. And I like that because she's... It's like the magic systems where you have like the mage, you have the paladin who's kind of like the healer, and that's kind of what Barriss is. She's more of a healer than a fighter. Like she can fight, she can do that, but her strong suit, her strength, is her ability to heal, which I guess makes sense why she'll be in the MedStar duology during the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan and Luminaya have this discussion I remember very vividly on parents, which I really enjoyed it. It was a very short little dialogue, like I said, sprinkled throughout. But I love that section of the book. Like, Obi-Wan even says, I often, I question it, is this, taking kids as babies the right thing to do? Maybe we should let them see their mothers. Or he doesn't say that, but he says, I question it sometimes. And there's just this whole discussion. Luminar asks if he ever thinks about his parents, and he says, I never really think about it, but whenever I do feel a loneliness, missing family or something, I tend to think of Qui-Gon more than anybody else. So overall, like I said, I love that scene. And because, like I said, the Jedi, the prequels are flawed. And that is one rule that is being held down by tradition and not by reason. I mean, there are reasons for it, don't get me wrong. But nowhere originally with the Jedi is it a thing where you're not allowed to live with your family for a bit or lose that attachment. That's something that develops over time. And then lastly, the soul scene. This is where everybody has to kind of show like a talent to prove that they have a soul to this tribe or whatever. And they all do something unique. Obi-Wan tells this amazing, heroic, I mean, we don't get to hear it, we just hear the effects of it, what it's like. He tells this heroic, tragic story that everybody loves. And he's just talking, but it's the storytelling that he gives. Luminara has this cool like twist of a lightsaber thing that she does. It's very interesting. It's like it becomes more like a dance or something like that. I forget what Barris does, to be honest. But Anakin sings a song that his mother used to sing to him, and I don't know, just the way it was written. It was a very good chapter in the book. But that's pretty much it for spoilers. I literally have nothing else. I didn't write anything else down. Dooku shows up at the end because episode 2, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to be negative in these reviews. I want to be the positive you guys. Like, this is the stuff I love, and I still love this. I would still, I don't want to be negative to anybody. I'd still read this 100 times more than ever watch episode 8 again. Like, that's just how it is. But it's not the greatest EU book. Like, I would hope nobody starts off with this one, because this is not the strong suit of the expanded universe. One of the weaker parts of the expanded universe. But you know what? I still think it's worth your time just for those little sprinkle moments in there. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Sharing episode a ton. Don't forget to subscribe. And next time I see you, we'll go over some of the extra scenes in the episode 2 novelization, Republic Commando, the first level of the video game, and Jango Fett young adult series. Boba Fett, sorry. Until then, guys, may the Force be with you.